So we're going to call this meeting to order. I appreciate everybody attending today. And so we're going to call this meeting to order. I appreciate everybody attending today. Minutes. And so we're going to call this meeting to order. I appreciate everybody attending today. Minutes. If there are no objections, we're going to call this meeting to order. I will entertain a motion that they be approved. Somebody?
So moved.
Okay. Is that Barry? All right.
Yes.
Thanks, Barry.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second?
I'll second. It's
Heather?
Holly.
Oh, Holly. Okay. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, now, Sam, you want to talk about this adoption agreement on the 401A? You've got an amendment that you need to talk about, and so fire away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this matter is authorization and approval of the Kentucky Housing Corporation Defined Contribution Plan Adoption Agreement. And with me on the line here is Alan Powell. He's with McBrayer, which represents KHC in this matter. He has assisted with preparing this document alongside Nationwide. So I'll give a brief overview, and then Alan will be prepared to go into a little bit more detail and answer questions. So as you all know, pursuant to KRS 615228, KHC adopted a defined contribution plan upon exiting the pension system in 2021. KHC's plan is a pre-approved plan that's qualified under 26 USC 401A. It was recently, the most recent board action was from 2022 when a plan restatement was adopted at the May board meeting. Nationwide is the plan provider for KHC, and they are requiring that we adopt this new adoption agreement, which will be effective February 1st, 2026, assuming the committee approves this. In addition to the adoption agreement, I have attached some high-level summary of the plan and some documents that will be provided to the plan participants. So, Alan, if you want to go ahead and run through some of the details of this.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Hope you can hear me okay. I had some mic issues earlier today, but good afternoon, everyone, and nice to see you all again. I have been involved in the earlier document as well, back to 2021 on behalf of KHC. And I also represent Kentucky Deferred Comp and have for many years, and that relates to this updated document here. As Sam says, this is basically a change in document providers over at Nationwide. It updates the plan for some current tax law changes as well. These are pre-approved documents. They're canned documents, so to say. They've gone off to the IRS. The IRS has approved these documents. And as I'm sure many of you have seen, this is the check the box kind of adoption agreement. I've reviewed it. It's consistent in its form with your current plan document, except for one change. In consultation with Sam, this document reflects a change to the plan to expand the match feature. So this plan does not have any employee money. KHC employees do 401k deferral straight to the deferred comp plan. And so this plan matches their contributions to that other plan by way of their 401k deferrals made over there. This plan picks up that as a match. That is capped at 4% of pay. The change effective February 1, if adopted by the committee, would be to expand that to two other plan features over at Kentucky Deferred Comp. That would be the Kentucky 457 plan and the Kentucky Deemed IRA program. So if you have an employee who's contributing over to the 457 plan for deferred comp and has not exceeded the 4%, those effective Feb 1, those dollars would be subject to an increase in match in this KHC defined contribution plan. That is the one change that is made, other than some technical tax updates to the plan. Again, the proposed effective date for that match change would be February 1. Under current law, KHC would not have to revisit the plan for any tax law changes or IRS reasons until 2029. You could, of course, make your own amendments along the way, but this ought to update the plan for the next 3 years. Again, it's prepared by a document provider from Nationwide. They're under contract with you to provide these plan documents.
If any members have any questions of Alan or Sam in regard to this plan? Sam, you have anything further you want to say?
No, sir, other than KHC staff recommend approval of this resolution adopting this adoption agreement.
All right, well, if no one has any questions, I would entertain a motion that we adopt Resolution 1. Somebody would give me a motion on that.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Holly, I'll
Somebody?
second. I'll
Okay,
second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Alan. We appreciate you helping us out here, and Sam, we appreciate you being on top of this. This is important for our employees. So,
Thank you, sir. Good to see you all, and have a great afternoon.
thank you. All right. So Wendy Smith, you're up with these next two resolutions. Basically, have to do with homelessness, and so they're important personal service contracts. So Wendy, if you're there somewhere, I'll turn it over to you for item 4.
Good afternoon, Mike and executive committee members. This resolution is related to a contract that y'all are probably tired of hearing about, but we wanted to make one additional modification to it. So as a result of the American Rescue Plan Act funding, we got a significant one-time increase to our home investment partnership funds I think it was 51 million altogether, that had to be used for creating housing and services around homelessness. Those dollars usually are just for creating really any kind of rental or homeownership housing or doing some rent assistance, but these were very, very targeted. And as you all hopefully remember, we have engaged for several years now, since 2021, the Corporation for Supportive Housing, CSH, to do consulting and technical assistance for us, but also for our partners, our homeless shelters and service agencies around the state, to help them learn how to do permanent supportive housing. They are actually also training a number of our partners through, they're calling it the Medicaid Academy, on if Kentucky's Medicaid waiver holds and we could do billing for housing stability services, some of our homeless shelters could become Medicaid billing entities. So they've just been invaluable to us. We are now coming to you all with the request that we add an additional $100,000 to this contract for a very specific purpose. And it is that the Corporation for Supportive Housing, as their work under us, they've been doing work with Louisville Metro nonprofits and funders around what is being called the Home for Good initiative in Louisville. That work, however, is getting to be enough hours and work that it's too much to just be borne by the dollar amount and scope that we had in our original contract. We are very supportive of this effort in Louisville to get more permanent supportive housing for homeless people in Louisville. So we would like to increase that contract to continue. Basically, we would continue to pay for the consulting and technical assistance being provided by Corporation for Supportive Housing, adding a bigger scope in Louisville. Can still be covered with the same funds. It's still work we really support, and we are funding projects in Louisville. So we come to you with the recommendation that we add an additional $100,000 to that contract.
Any members have any questions of Wendy in regard to this contract? I would just say that homelessness, we're going to see the real problems that we have with homelessness this weekend and the days that follow. If in fact we get this snowstorm that they're talking about, but homelessness continues to be a big problem. And Wendy, I appreciate all the work you do and your people do to alleviate this situation. So if there are no questions, Wendy, I would entertain a motion that we adopt resolution number 2.
I'll make
I'll
that
make a
motion.
motion.
Okay, I have a motion, and would somebody second it?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, Wendy, you've got another one, another contract for Leap Forward.
Yes, the hits keep on coming. So this is also related to our homelessness programs, quite different area of work though. So our continuum of care programs, which cover partners that work across 118 counties. So we everywhere but Louisville and Lexington. And we serve as the administrating and planning agency, an agency that has to build capacity across our partners. That PUD program has increasingly been requiring that we really think about how we tie our work to workforce development, to helping people who are homeless or have recently been homeless, get a job and keep a job. And I can tell you that I would expect this trend to only increase with the Trump administration, because there's a big focus on services and really heavily working with people experiencing homelessness to get them services and get them working. So we did a competitive request for proposals earlier this year and selected Leap Forward to provide workforce development curriculums and one-on-one work with people who are homeless to help all of our partners strengthen their workforce development. This is something our current funding requires us to do. We have continuum of care planning dollars for this, and I do expect it to be a continued mandate by the HUD COC program going forward. So our proposal is that, and this takes a lot of time. So this is a proposal for a long-term contract that covers many years. And there's a schedule of how much can be billed each year. The first year, it would be a little over $169,000, and each consecutive year after that, $130,000 per year. So it's a sizable contract, but it's broken out across, I believe it's 5 years.
So Wendy, it's $169,550 the first year,
Yes.
and then $130,000 for four subsequent years,
Yeah.
right?
Each year for 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Wendy in regard to this resolution? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt. Somebody,
I'll make the
please.
motion. I'll make the
Okay.
motion. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, Wendy, you're on a roll. You get one more.
This last one we bring to you all every few years, and it's really a in case we need it contract. So as we've talked about for well over a decade, we have been in this state of the possibility that HUD would decide to rebid our contract to perform all of the kind of services, admin, and payments for project-based contract administration. So this is not our vouchers. This is another side of our tenant assistance programs where we pay a portion of the rent on over 22,000 units every month across Kentucky. We also do visits to inspect the properties and look through the files, and we field tenant complaints. And so this is a contract that we've had for a long time. We do it for the entire state. There's always been this talk that HUD's going to rebid it. It has not happened for over a decade. In case it happens, we will need a consultant to walk us through competitive procurement with the federal government, because we've never done that. We've only ever applied to kind of grant applications or funding rounds. So we have had this in place for quite a while. We have never used it. We again ask for it to be approved in case we do need it.
Okay, do any members have any questions of Wendy in regard to this contract? Well, if not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Wendy, and thank you for your hard work. And you
Thank you.
give our best to your people, okay?
Okay.
All right, so it takes us down to informational items. I don't have anything, but Winston, I think you may have one that you want to talk about.
I do. Actually, there's sort of three items, somewhat separately, that I'm going to let Sam start on, and at some point in time, he'll relinquish the floor, or I'll take the floor, however that goes from Sam. But Sam's going to update us on where we stand on federal budget proposals, where we stand with the housing budgets in Congress, what's happened in the state legislature to thus far as it affects housing. And then there's one non-housing bill that affects all state boards and agencies that we want to talk a little bit about. Sam?
Thank you, Winston. Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So by way of background, the most recently passed continuing resolution expires on January 30th. So just next week. On Tuesday, the House and the Senate Appropriations Committees released the text of Consolidated Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2026 that includes HUD funding. On the whole, the funding for housing programs in this proposal is either increased or remains level. So if you recall, earlier in the year, the administration released a proposal that reduced or eliminated funding for most housing programs. The House and the Senate both had separate proposals that included reductions to some programs or modest increases. This most recently released text is more favorable than any of those proposals. So it either keeps it flat or increases it modestly for some programs. Since the text of this Consolidated Appropriations Act was conferenced, the expectation is that both chambers will pass it as is before the January 30th deadline. It includes some other programs as well, like Department of Defense and Labor. So it's broader than just housing, but this is, I guess, relatively good news for the programs that KHC administers. So that's it for a federal funding update. Obviously, as the 30th approaches, we'll keep the board up to date on any new information that we receive if it looks like there's going to be any problems related to that. As far as the state legislative session is concerned, it appears that there are a larger number of bills related to housing issues in the past years. We were expecting this, based on the housing task force the last couple of years. There are proposals from both sides of the aisle, and it's varied and includes appropriations and non-appropriations measures. There are a number of bills that appear to be working to address the housing shortage that KHC has identified. There are some bills related to changes to zoning rules that would make it easier for accessory dwelling units and duplexes and multifamily housing. Zoning rules related to affordable housing that's developed by religious institutions. Establishing some new sources of funding and new programs for affordable housing development and construction financing, creating a new state tax credit, a new fund for abandoned homes to create a rent-to-own program, expungement of records for eviction proceedings that have been dismissed, and various methods of increasing the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, including increasing the recording fees and tying future increases to the Consumer Price Index. So there's been a lot of activity. Much of it has been very positive, and KHC has been working with folks to provide details and information as we've been requested to do so. There are a couple of proposals that would have, what we perceive to be a more negative impact on our housing programs. There is one proposal that would limit agencies' spending of federal and state housing programs on multifamily housing to 10% of the total, requiring 90% to be used for single family. We view that as a much more limiting proposal than some of the other proposals that we're seeing. So we just want to make you aware that of some of these proposals. Obviously, early stages. Nothing has moved out of committee yet, or even received votes in committees of these proposals yet. So we're monitoring and we'll make the board aware of any that we are seriously concerned about or we think would have a significant impact on Kentucky's housing supply. And so, as Winston mentioned, there is one bill that we wanted to bring to your attention that might have an impact on board and executive committee operations. So it's House Bill 66. It proposes changes to the rules governing meetings at which members appear by video teleconference, also known as virtual meetings like the one we're having today. The primary concern for us is that this bill would mean that board members could not participate virtually at a meeting that will result in an action that, one, interprets, implements, or prescribes law or policy or affects the rights or procedures available to the public, or two, administers or awards funds. As you all know, that's most of what we're doing at these board meetings involves either one of those things. So, this could likely prevent virtual meetings of the board or the executive committee from being effective, and would limit our ability to act quickly, when the board approval is necessary or when we need to have an executive committee meeting. It also, we have board members from all parts of the state, and mandatory in-person attendance might be burdensome on some of those board members. So there are provisions in there in this bill that would prevent payment of like travel expenses at virtual meetings, which doesn't create any issues, but we're just concerned about, since the pandemic, we have been conducting some of our meetings. During the pandemic, it was all the meetings virtually. So, we just wanted to bring this to your all's attention because it might have an impact on the proceedings of the board and the committee if it passes.
So if we had a pandemic or if we had a snow event, we couldn't have a virtual meeting. In case of an emergency, we would have to meet face to face if this bill passes, right?
To consider matters that involve, awarding funds or like bond projects, I think would be covered by this, and then any policy decisions. So for most matters, yes, we would not be able to meet virtually, and if this bill passes.
Yeah, in my judgment, as a practical matter, we really wouldn't be able to conduct business as usual as we've been doing for the past several years. And there's hardly a meeting of the executive committee or of the board that doesn't have on it by necessity items that would be prohibited from being considered by the board members who were attending a board meeting or an executive committee meeting virtually. So it would have very significant impact on boards and agencies such as ours. And at this point in time, we don't anticipate this proposed legislation getting traction, getting any footing, but we're going to monitor it closely. And I've discussed with Chair Denham and with Sam the possibility that we will, as the chair of the board and as executive director and CEO of Kentucky Housing, that we'd go on record by asking the state government committee, which is where this is referred to not enact or approve the legislation. And for the very reasons that Sam has outlined, it would prohibit us from essentially meeting virtually, which I think today is a perfect example. We've got an agenda which is probably going to be less than a half an hour long, that we would have had each of the members of the executive committee traveling maybe a short distance, but many of you 70, 80 miles or more. And if we had Bill Jones on the executive committee, he could be traveling 3 hours each way. for a 30-minute meeting. And that's just not an efficient way nor a prudent way to operate our organization in this days and times. So we will, I seriously consider preparing a letter stating those views. If any of the board members have differing opinions about this or want to discuss it off record, please give me a call or give Mike a call and let's discuss it. But I think that we can all see that this would not be good for the Kentucky Housing Corporation.
So Winston, do we need a motion from the committee to approve? Or can we just write a letter?
I think unless there's a member of the committee who thinks that a motion should be required or who has opposition to this, I think we can do it by action of the chair and the executive director.
Okay.
If we didn't have this advance on the agenda for today. And so since we didn't basically foresee this coming up at the meeting today, we probably should pass on that. And then if the full board wants to pass a resolution with a position on this issue, we can explore that later. But we thought getting something on the record now, early in this session, is probably wise, and waiting until the February meeting, depending on if this legislation were to get traction, it could be too late. I anticipate there will be a lot of other boards and commissions that will let their feelings be known on this. At least I'm hoping so.
Any members have any questions of Sam or Winston in regard to this? Any comments that anybody would like to make? Okay, so Winston, I think that indicates that they're supportive.
Yes.
Okay, of your position. Okay.
We'll be in touch with you, Mike, with a draft of our thoughts about this and how to proceed next steps.
Okay. All right. So, Sam, do you or Winston have anything further that you need to talk about today?
No, sir.
Okay. Any items from the committee or the staff that you all would like to raise today? Okay, so if not, just let me thank everybody for attending today, and just be safe this weekend. We are getting really bad reports from the National Weather Service up here, and it sounds like it's going to be a major snowstorm and possibly blizzard, and I think some of you all are going to get ice. And I hope the ice stays away from us personally. But anyway, you all be safe. And Winston, would you all give our best to your employees? They do a wonderful job, and ask them to stay safe as well.
Absolutely.
So, if no one has anything else, I would entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. I think we're adjourned. Okay, thank you all very much.